Hi, in this next video, I'd like to show you how to program your first program. I want to talk about objects and the things associated with objects, like their properties and its name. I also want to talk a little bit about naming conventions and how important that is, and talk about IntelliSense, which is part of the feature in our programming environment, and also talk about some syntax as we program our first line of code. So let's get started. So let's go to a project. And this is a project I made previously. I dragged in a label and I also dragged in a button. You can drag in a second label, but I don't want a second label. I'm just going to have a label. I'm going to have a button, and I think I'll put in a checkbox, and also I'll put in a text box here. Okay, so I've just dragged in 4 objects. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th object is this. Now, an object in this programming language is basically a thing that has associated with it properties and methods and things that it can do, and little aspects of itself that you can modify or not modify. So the most important thing of about an object is its name. So right now, this label 1, it has a name. This checkbox, it has a name, and you can probably guess that the name of the label 1 is label 1. So how do you check its name? If you go across on this side and scroll up, you'll see name here, and you'll notice it's called label 1. I don't want to keep it label 1. I want to call it something more meaningful than label 1. So let's give our project a meaning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bit of a form where it will ask, not ask a question, but you will have to check whether a question here is true or not. So let's make this checkbox say, are you male or female? Actually, this is not what we want to rename. We want to go to text property and change that to you male. And the text property is a property that is shown to the user. So this label 1 here, I want to go down to the text property, and it's called label 1. You know, the text property is label 1, but his name's also label 1. That's just by default, but this is what I want to change so that it changes what the user can see. So we just ask the ultimate question. Not really. Are you male? Are you female? Actually, it doesn't matter. Are you male? Are you female? Let's call this button. Let's call this button. Let's make this button say "click me" for no other reason than just to click it. And let's make this the output, and it has nothing there. And then you notice that text is empty, but it still has a name. Text box 1 is the name. All right. So what I want to do is, if I check here and click thing here, it will go, thank you for letting me know. And if I don't check it and click here, I assume, and you might say, I assume you're female. You know, you might not be. It could be something in between. So let's just make it do that. All right, so before I do that, I'd like to make sure that each one of these properties has a unique name. So this ultimate question, let's scroll up. Let's call this LBL question, LBL title. And you notice here, I go LBL lowercase, and then I start with an uppercase T, and I write title. That's a naming convention that we're following. It's a Hungarian naming convention, and it's useful because if I have a whole heap of labels, all of them start with LBL, so I can quickly find labels using IntelliSense, and I'll show that very soon. In actual fact, to show that, I need another label, so I'm just going to put in another label just to show you. Put in another row at the bottom here and just go up, actually maybe here, and then I just write LBL response like that. And I've just changed its name, but I haven't changed what it displays. Go down here and call that response, and the response will come out of this text box here. I can copy it, probably make it a bit longer. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, so let's call this one. Let's call this object CHK for checkbox. You can go CHB, or you can choose anything as your naming convention. Those first three letters can be anything you like. You can choose any type of naming convention, but this is the one I like to follow. And let's call this mail, question, mail, or maybe are you mail, are you mail, and no question mark. One thing about naming conventions is try to avoid using weird symbols and any spaces. So are you mail, CHK, and this button, BTN, click me, and this text box is TXT response, as opposed to this one being LBL response. So I'm using this thing as just a label, but I'm actually going to put something inside this one. All right, great. So we've named everything, and I've double clicked on title, and you notice that the title appears. And if I was to double click on the RU mail, now the RU mail change appears. Now as you double click on different objects, different what we call events pop up. So this is the click event for the title. And if you want something to happen when you click this title, that thing you will program in here. Now I don't want now if you don't want a particular event, you can just knock that off and just only use the ones. And if you don't want to use this one, you can knock that one out, just delete it. That's fine, no issues here. And the one and for this one, I don't want it either. I can knock it all off, just to let you know. So I'm going to go back to designer view, and because I want to program the click me, I'm going to double click on the click me, because that's what I want to activate things to give this a response. I'm going to go click me. I'm going to double click on that. So put a bit of a space, BTN click me click. So this basically handles the BTN click me click. So if I click on this button, I'm going to do stuff inside here. So it's scoped within this. And what do I want to do? I want to give it a response. I won't check the checkbox yet. I'll just give it a response. The response is saying, I will say hello. So what I'll do is I need to put something in here. Now the property that I need to change for this text box is the text property down here. So if I type something in the text box, you notice that it pops up there. So I need to access this property and put stuff in here in the code view. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I go to code view by double clicking on this button, and then I need to name the object that I want to modify, and the object that I want to modify is TXT response. Let's just double check. Let's go back to this view, go down here, have a look at what this thing is called, and it's called TXT response. Now this is case sensitive, so if I've got a capital R here, I gotta make sure this thing's capital R. And then I want to access one of these properties, like text property. So I put dot, and I go txt, text, and I go equals, and open quotation mark, and I'll just go hello. No semicolon, wrong language. And there you go, and that's it. So if I click this button, it will put hello in this property of this object. And that's pretty much the syntax. The syntax is, oh, by the way, if I want to make a comment, I put a one quotation, and I can write some comment in, and nothing will happen in that comments. But I just want to tell you that the first thing you want is object name, and then property, and then equals, and then some kind of text or some kind of value that you want to slot into the property. And that's it. Let's try that out. So what I'll do is I'll click start, and if I click this, as you can see, if I click that, it will run this one line, putting hello in the text property of this particular object, which is this one. And there you go. All right, now just to show you that I can now account for are you male or not. Let's go. Let's check the this checkbox. Now we need to know if I tick this, what changes. So I'm gonna scroll down and have a look at what the text box has. You notice here the checkbox has checked false or true. So it looks like if I check this property to check whether it's false or true, I will know whether the user ticked it or not. So if it's not ticked, it's false, and if I tick it to true, you notice that this tick comes up. I'm going to set it back to false. So basically I just need to change this thing to either true or false, and that will, we'll check whether it's true or false, and that will determine whether it's got a tick or not. Let's double click on click me. Let's do an if statement. We're going to go if the check are you male, right? If this object dot checked, which is a property that it has, is equal to false, we know that the user did not check it. And if by the way, it's a single equals, wrong programming language. So if check are you male checked equals false, meaning you haven't checked it, then what we're going to say, we're going to go txt response dot text equals to we're just going to say you are male. False is you are female. Are you female? I guess the question is, I assume you are female. And else, else the response is spell you are male, and I'm just going to delete the hello. So if it's false, then it will say you are female because you haven't checked it. Else, if they did check it, which is the only other option, you are male. Let's do that. Let's now press play here. So I'll click it without checking it. It goes, I assume you're female. With a ticket, you are male. And there you go. That's your first program. So just to reiterate, these change in properties, you follow this procedure. You write the object's name. That's why it's so important that you name the objects the way you should. And then you put a dot, and then you access its property equals value. I just want to show you that again. TXT response dot, and you notice all the properties that you can change and some of the methods. These are methods. I'll just tick on the wrench and you'll see all the properties that you could possibly change. You can't change them all. Some are read only, some are write only. You will find out as you read, but anyway, there you go. What else you need to know? Oh, this is an if statement. So an if statement follows if, then in brackets you do some kind of check, and then spaced, and you put a then, and then there has to be an end if at the end. And if you want like an else, you put an else in the middle there. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.